Good evening. Today is Thursday, August 6, 2020. I now call the Fairfield City School District Board of Education work session to order. Mrs. Lane, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Begley?
Here.
Mr. Birding?
Present?
Mrs. Gundrum?
Here.
Mrs. O'Neill?
Here.
Mrs. Shorter?
Here.
Mrs. Gundrum, will you please lead us in the pledge?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Thank you, Mrs. Gundrum. It's great to all be back together again, all 5 board members in the same room again. So it's a good sign of things to come. So I'm really happy to see that. So thank you all for coming in tonight. Our first item on the agenda is superintendent's recommendations and reports. I'll turn it over to Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Birding. At this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Martin to cover the items listed under Personnel Professional.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, Mr. Birding, and members of the board. I have several items for your consideration this evening under Personnel Professional. Item number 1 is employment, letters A and B. Letter C is extracurriculars for the 2021 school year, and there are 7 pages of those. So that's most of the agenda right there. And then letter D is a single substitute teacher for the 2021 school year. That completes the items I have for you this evening under Personnel Professional.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. At this time, I will entertain a motion to accept those recommendations.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I heard Mrs. O'Neill and then Mr. Begley. Any questions or comments?
I love to see all these extracurriculars on here. You know that's something near and dear to my heart is all that stuff that the kids can participate in. And I think gives everybody a sense of hope going forward. So that's exciting to see. And this is just a question. I see that Mark Bram at the high school is doing the school paper called The Warrior. Have they always had a school paper or is that new?
I believe that was the name of the publication that they had last year.
Was there a school paper?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so.
Okay.
I know that it used to be called the Warrior Way back in the day.
Yeah.
When I was a student there. But then I think it went away for a while.
Yeah.
But I can't say with 100% certainty, but I think that is the
Yeah.
publication
I
that
just
they
would,
released.
yeah, I never had seen it before, so that's, that's cool. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, Mrs. Lane, will you call the roll, please?
Mrs. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mr. Begley?
Yes.
Mr. Birding?
Yes.
Mrs. Gundrum?
Yes.
Mrs. Shorter?
Yes.
Motion passes.
This time, I'd like to ask Mr. Penny to cover the items listed under Personnel Support.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Birding, members of the board, I have the following items for your consideration this evening under Personnel Support. Under item number 1, resignations, letter A. There's one item this evening. This concludes the items I have for your consideration this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Penny. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to accept that recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Heard Mrs. Gundrum, then Mr. Begley. Any questions or comments? Okay, Mrs. Lamb, you call the roll, please.
Mrs. Gundrum?
Yes.
Mr. Begley?
Yes.
Mr. Birding?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mrs. Shorter?
Yes.
Motion passes.